Welcome back, everybody. It's House and Hanging, week 5. We're finishing up. This is the original agreement. We got to week 5. We're at week 5.
For those of you that are still here, we feel sorry for you, but thank you.
Nobody. I mean, I'm tired. I don't feel sorry for you anymore because if you subject yourself to this week after week, it's your own fault.
You
and honestly, it's not like we haven't given a warning because, like last week, there was a little bit of a dip off.
There was.
Not as many people tuned in, which is expected but sad.
Course correction. I mean, it's what I would have done.
I mean, yeah, but they course corrected to not watching at all or caring at all. Like we're not even getting thumbs down anymore.
I know.
There was a couple of good suggestions. Well, we got a suggestion for a name change.
Yeah.
So from we can come up with the name of the people who watch this besides just sad losers. But they were like, what was it? 2 sad realtors?
It was two bad realtors doing a shitty podcast.
I don't think we're not bad though. We're not bad realtors.
Or just 2 realtors doing a shitty podcast.
Another 2 realtors doing a shitty podcast.
Or 2 realtors doing another shitty podcast.
Another 2 because like everybody's got them now. So,
right.
But week 5, how's it going this week, Omar? Everything good?
Doing good.
Awesome. Anything new going on in your world? Did you want to share?
Sure. I recently started playing guitar again after not playing for 30 years, and I just started taking lessons this week. And I'm learning what I don't know. Well, not that I didn't know what I don't know. Yeah, right there.
This dissertation is going places.
Really compelling news. But so the extent of like my guitar playing, that was I was primarily like a drummer and a bass guitarist. And
wait. So you were in a band?
Mm-hmm.
How long ago?
Christ, this is going back to before I was 21.
Were you in a hair metal band?
Yeah, we were thrash metal.
Did you have long hair?
Very long hair. It was down to my ass.
I think you should grow it back.
Yeah.
I do. Like, what do you think it would take for you to grow it back? Like, would your wife let you?
She wouldn't care, but the problem is that, you know, in this, not that anybody judges anybody on their looks in 2024, but people judge you on your looks in 2024.
Don't say things like that. I can't make up for looks like that.
If filters exist on social media, people judge you by their looks.
Huh. So how did the lesson go? Was it fun? It
was good. It was exactly what I was hoping. I wanted him to find. Let me back up a step here. So with guitar, I was self-taught. So with that, because I didn't have formal training, I learned to play with some bad habits. And I'm well aware of that because there's sometimes if I was trying to like learn something back when I was actively playing, I would hit walls and not be able to get past them. And that was because I didn't train properly for it. So all I did was just reinforce bad habits, or my limitations were to play things that didn't involve my skill set to go beyond my improper self-teachings. So I had explained that to my, the guy that's giving me lessons.
Your life coach.
Yes.
In a way.
But to let him know that I want you to break down everything that I'm doing wrong and teach me how to do it properly. And already it's like so quickly I saw just tiny little needle shifts that are already pushing me past walls that I felt were impossible to break through. And
did he give you any like rags? He's like, go out and wax my car. Like it's like something crazy. This has nothing to do with it. You're like, I'm paying you. He's like, pick up this mop.
Yeah. Well, actually, he to train like finger dexterity, he asked me to comb a mouse's hair. So it was just.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that like the name of a move, or is that like an actual?
No, I actually had to comb the hair of a mouse. Because when you're talking about like strumming and picking, it's a finite like.
That should be the name
movement.
of the show: strumming and picking. That's awesome, man. I'm happy you're doing that again. Like,
I didn't really comb the hair of a small mouse.
Wow.
Why would there be mice in it?
I don't know where you're going for your life coach advice. I have nothing really new going on in my world. It's a ton of real estate stuff and not much else. But it's spring, it feels warm again, so I'm looking forward to my pool.
Daylight savings time. For those of you that eat paste, we still didn't even remind you to set your clocks.
Actually, big fault on us. That's on us. We did not send out the standard. That's realtors look for that. When you fall behind and when you spring ahead.
Yeah.
And then what? Then there's like St. Patty's and Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. For like St. Patrick's Day, I wish I was your realtor.
everything I touch turns to sold, that kind of stuff.
Deals and heels.
Yeah. But we should send out like non-holiday emails to people and just make up holidays, like Deals and Heels Friday.
Yeah,
and it's
or like the obscure Hallmark holidays.
We make some movies about it.
Literally every day is a holiday.
Like Christmas List. It's about us listing a house at Christmas. So let's get into a little bit of stuff going on here. So one of the topics we want to talk about this week, we've done a couple deals and we've had some different conversations with an attorney. I want to talk about building some value with an attorney. So I'll let you kick it off because I know you just finished up and you just had a really good meeting with a couple people.
So I just settled on a transaction that was a result of a divorce, and it's always a painful situation for people, and it's something that I've probably been very naturally sympathetic to because I've gone through a divorce and had to sell what I thought was my dream house and a house that I was going to, I thought, die in at the time.
Painful depending on the spouse. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're lucky getting.
Well, any sort of big transition, whether it's for the better or not, I would say in most cases the divorce always ends up being for the better because things changed or maybe things surfaced that you weren't aware of. But whatever the case may be, it's never a fun situation. So it's a very unique situation because when I sat there and like thought about the dynamic of it is, okay, I have a soon-to-be divorced couple, okay? They're both equally my clients. My fiduciary responsibility is to the two of them equally. Yet in family court, they're opposition to each other. So I'm representing them both equally, and my fiduciary responsibility is to them both. They as a joint couple is my client, but they are not on the same page in
marriage.
Exactly.
Or life.
So it's when you really think about the psychology of it, it's a very interesting set of dynamics. You're playing within multiple sets of rules that don't naturally like to coexist with one another. So in that case, when the attorneys brought me in on this one, and I was brought into the transaction through a referral situation. I didn't know either of the sellers that were selling the house like in advance. And the first thing I did was I sat down with the attorneys and said, look, let me know if there's any specific ground rules specific to this case and this divorce.
When you say ground, what do you mean ground rules?
So if there was like anything unique, so okay, in this case, the people weren't on speaking terms with one another. So I made sure that I was respectful of that. I didn't accidentally put people in a group group text. I didn't accidentally put people on like a group like text thread or email chain or anything like that. I made sure that throughout the entire process, start to finish, they never had any interaction with each other whatsoever, to be respectful of that situation. And it's not my place to determine that, but knowing what the ground rules of that scenario are up front are incredibly important. Now, maybe there's other situations where the people are on speaking terms and,
It's not always that way. Yeah, it's not
right.
always like the worst thing in the world to go through. But like when it is, it's very important to have the stuff laid out up front, like all the parameters of where you want to go.
Yeah, and even when it came time to settlement, I made sure that they were nowhere near even remotely possibly running into each other throughout the course of the... just different times. But yeah, you can do separate offices. That's been done plenty of times when you've seen it, when a buyer and a seller just don't get along. Some things maybe didn't...
Little contentious during the negotiations?
A little bit. Buyer and seller didn't see eye to eye, and yeah, there's times where you have to separate them, but it's nothing to be fearful of. It's just understanding what your options are, what tools you can offer to the scenario to provide more of a benefit. In the end, I made sure that both parties, be it attorneys and the actual individuals, were always kept up to speed, didn't ever leave anybody out of the loop with anything. So this way, no one was being made to feel less than the other, because nobody was more important than either in the situation. So, if I sent out an email to one, it was simultaneously going out to the other to make sure that there was just equal treatment start to finish. Because again, they were equally my client, not one slightly more than another. And it ended up working out the best that an unfortunate situation can.
Awesome. So I think like building value with the attorney and setting those parameters in realtors, like you would want that to lead to more business. Like you don't necessarily, like that's something that you could build on, and you would definitely want to build that relationship.
Sure.
So they know they can trust you with any kind of situation that pops up.
Right, and now there's trust, there's rapport, there's history, being built. So now, one of the two attorneys involved was a new contact for me. I had no past, dealings or relationship with one of the attorneys, and we sat down and just it was as good as the situation could be. So it was nice to be able to use my past experiences to help take some of the sting out of an otherwise unfortunate situation.
That's good.
It's not something that's, people are running around like, happy celebrations about, but to make it a little less painful, feels good.
It's a shitty situation, but you make the best of it.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just softening the blows that could have been
way worse.
Could have easily been bad.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely keeping that in mind. I guess kind of moving on. Next topic I want to kind of touch on, realtor attire. Do you feel like it matters?
It does.
Now, when you say so there's a couple different things. It matters because impressions matter. When you meet somebody, you have a split second to determine your opinion of that person.
Sure.
And most of the time, and then you try to spend the rest of your life proving that decision is the right one. So you can meet somebody, and it takes a lot to be like, wow, I really misjudged that person. And I've done this many times, but I'm wrong a lot of times too. But when you first meet them, you feel like it does matter. Why?
So I'm going to qualify everything I'm going to say with a higher statement, a higher blanket statement, which is know your audience. Meaning, okay, if you're going to meet with one of your friends, okay, someone you've got a long-standing relationship, are you going to put a suit and tie on to go meet them?
No.
Now, if you're going into a listing situation, you know that the people they're more professional. They could be like attorney, judge, someone that's probably used to dressing up a little bit more on, for like their on a regular basis. Do you think there's maybe a better chance they're going to dress up a little bit more to that? Maybe not necessarily doing like a three-piece suit, but you think you might dress differently than going to see like your old college buddy?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you were going to see someone you've never met before, but like they're more like blue collar labor, like someone that, maybe throughout the course of their day, like they're wearing some type of, something that's going to get dirty. Would you put on a suit there?
No.
And so it ultimately circles back to know your audience. Now, if we drop a level below that, okay, you still want to make sure that you're being true to yourself. You don't ever want to falsely represent who you are, what you are. Insincerity, most people can smell it a mile away. So
I'm gonna stop. Like I know where you're going with this, and I want to hold you real quick because I think it matters 1,000%. But there's also a certain point where you just said authenticity and sincerity.
Yes.
If I am like a suit guy and you wear a suit all the time and that's your thing, that's your business attire. That says I'm here for business. There's a certain way that you can wear a suit and not come off it, and it's hard to put into words. But if you wear a suit and like I get the idea that you're trying to sell me something most of the time. Like if you're wearing a suit, it's like, okay, well, what are you trying to do here? What's the imbalance? Now, if I show up and I'm not wearing a suit and you are wearing a suit, that puts the power struggle here. If we're both in situations where we dress up, great. Or if you're both in situations where you dress down, great. You try to stay on that even. You try to mirror what your person's there. You want to be the person of authority, but I think like a full suit and tie, at least for my taste, like I like, if you're going to dress up, you do a suit, you do a no tie.
Right. I mean, in this day and age, it's so rare that people. I mean, I'm just thinking to the past couple like formal weddings that I went to.
They wear Jordans. I mean, you wear Jordans to a wedding now.
Still no tie. I wouldn't wear Jordans to a wedding, but
I wear just Jordans and a tie.
Yeah, not Yeezys.
No Yeezys.
It's the official uniform.
It is. I'm just not part of the team. So it does matter. Now, do you feel like it depends if you're showing houses going to an inspection or going to closings, do you dress differently for any of those things? Or like when you first meet somebody, when you're just showing them houses and you're in the slog, inspection and closing, is there different attire expectations?
You know, it depends on the schedule for that day. If it was nothing but that, if I've established a rapport with people and like, I'll also too see like, where are they comfortable dressing? Because part of it too is that I want to make the people that I'm with feel comfortable. I don't want to dress so nice that I'm making the people that I'm with feel less than, because you can do that too. That is something that, it was a lesson I was taught a long time ago of not presenting yourself as like better than or above like those that are around you, but more so, finding connection with people. An example is even just like the language that I use when I'm speaking to somebody. If someone's speaking mannerisms are a little more like loose and casual, I'm not going to speak overly proper and overly professional. But if I'm with somebody that's their natural speaking dynamic, I'm going to mirror that more, because it is a part of my natural personality. It's not me faking it. It's just a question of which
dial you turn up at any certain time.
But it's all still me. That's the important thing. It's never going to be dialing in something that's not me. And I think ultimately, circling back to like the root question of, how do you decide what you're going to wear? I think in what we do, a lot of this is relationship based, and everything we do is, well, for the more successful people, it's building relationships, not just going out and making sales. So what are one of the ways that I can relate to people? Like, find some sort of like commonality. If we dress alike, we have some common interests. These are things that will make a person feel more comfortable, because in their mind, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, they'll think, well, I get along with him. I relate with him.
Or vice versa. You're looking for somebody like you.
Right.
But I think it does matter ultimately. I think it does matter. I think it does change how people perceive you. Like if you meet me in a suit and I'm in a suit every day, you're going to have a different opinion of me than if I look like this every day.
Yep.
Like it's going to be like, oh, well, he's here for business, or he looks like he just got done doing an inspection.
Right. And there's been times too when I've been out on showings or at a closing. Sometimes if I'm passing another realtor, because we're showing the same house, or I see them at an open house, I see some agents out there, and again, to each his own, but I'm just speaking my opinion on perception. Sometimes I'll see someone out there, they're probably really, really overdressed for the situation, or the price point, whatever the case may be. Name tag on, and I just look at them and I just think it reminds me of my mom dressing me when I was a child for like church or something to that effect, and it's just like, is that really necessary? It almost looks like you're trying too hard. So these are things that people should be cognizant of too. Like if it looks like you're trying too hard, it looks disingenuous. If you take a look now, the world has certainly gotten a little bit more casual. The former business dress has now morphed to more of like a business casual.
Yeah.
Is now the acceptable.
No socks.
Yeah.
No socks anywhere.
No. A lot of ankle. And, that's become, the world fashion has evolved and gotten a little more casual.
Which I'm thankful for. But also, like, the suits, I think there's a difference between like a fitted suit and a not fitted suit. And if you wear anything that fits looks better on you than something that doesn't fit. So like,
agreed.
And it feels like that is almost more important. Like if you wear something that's casual but it's fitted correctly,
right,
versus a giant, like a suit that's too big for me or too small for me.
Or it looks like it just came out of a suitcase.
Yeah, like it's a different perception, because you're like, oh, this person's put together regardless. And I think that's more of probably a working out, self-image, healthy mindset type thing, because you look good, you feel good, you dress right.
Me? I look good?
No, I'm not saying it to you.
You were looking right at me.
There's nobody else in the room. So it's something interesting that came up, and the reason I even thought about it is because that stupid show that's on Netflix that Kristen was watching.
Which one?
Selling Sunset.
Okay.
I see the people in the way they're dressed, and it's all very attractive women that are just on there, and they dress like they're all going out every night to show houses. And I'm like, and Chris is like, is this what you look like when I was like, no, this is not what I look like when I go out. Nobody wants me to look that way. So
You don't want a painted on mini skirt and
No.
6-inch stilettos.
So something that we're going to get into, it's an abbreviated week this week because we're trying to scale down the time a little bit, make it more palatable for people. So we're going to jump into the questions that nobody asked us. Point. There you go. It's right here. Ding. And it's just going to be a rapid fire. I'm going to give you a question. You give me a quick answer on it.
Okay.
So, do you show up to the appraisal when you have the seller?
If necessary.
What's necessary?
Well, if it feels like we're pushing value based on sold comps, 1,000% I'm showing up.
Buyer.
Same thing. Doesn't matter if it's buyer or seller.
Okay. When's it more of a risk not to show up?
When you're pushing value.
When you're not pushing value. Or no, when you are pushing the value. When it's more of a risk when you're not pushing the value. So you need somebody else to be there.
When you're
when you need the value to come in is when it's the most important.
Right. But if we're like well within range, like there's comparables suggesting a much higher price, it's not critical. It's knowing when.
Next question. Be honest. How often do you think about quitting the real estate business? Give me some advice to a struggling agent. This is the questions that, again, nobody asked us.
Yeah.
This is the random people that I pulled off of something that rhymes with like Mace Mook.
I've never thought about quitting.
Awesome. What advice would you give to a struggling agent? 2 lines.
Make connections with people is first and foremost. It's if I could say what's the common thread with every transaction I've ever done, in some way, shape, or form revolves around making connections and building relationships with people. Second, you really got to figure out if you're part-time or not. Most agents do not work full-time hours.
They think they do.
Right.
And I'm guilty of this too. Like I've done it before. Like, you think you work 40 hours.
Most are realistically working like 20, 25 hours. If that.
Like actually working your business, like working leads, calling people, and not just trying to pretend that you're working.
Right.
So it's not a hard job, but it's a tough job.
Yeah.
How do I pick my real estate brokerage?
You have to mesh with whoever it is that you're going with. The actual whatever brand brokerage it is irrelevant. It's who's like in your immediate surroundings, because those people are going to have a massive influence on your day-to-day happenings. If you're on a team, the brokerage itself is really irrelevant. It's who that team lead is, who the team members are, makes all the difference in the world. EXP, for example, where we're both at, okay, there's more teams than I can count, and every team has a different experience. You can take an agent, bounce them from 100 different teams. Every single one of those 100 experiences is going to be different because of the actual team dynamic itself.
Well said. Well said. So before we wrap this up, you got anything coming up this week that you want to plug, you want to talk about, that you thinking about?
I'm always stumped here.
It's coming every week though.
I know, and I never prepare for it. Nothing new on the horizon. We're still working out, building relationships. One thing I will say, and this isn't really an event, but this is just more of an ongoing thing. If anybody out there ever needs assistance, guidance, someone to bounce an idea off of, you want an opinion to help talk through something, a challenge.
We actually had a couple people reach out, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Again, not a recruiting tool,
no.
Not trying to sell you anything, just really trying to help the business and the morale. And if somebody's stuck, reach out and ask for help. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. And the phone, the door's open.
Yes, it is. So some news that we had. So I want to talk about. We've got to episode 5. I guess we could talk about the future of this little experiment that we did here. Like, success, not success. What do you think about it? Is it something like, what did you expect? Did you get what you got out of it? Is it getting easier? Do you like it?
It's becoming more organic to do.
Okay.
I think that, at least personally, I feel like I'm starting to find my cadence with it. It's feeling more natural and less thought out.
I mean, you do something enough times, you get enough reps in, you're going to start to feel more comfortable.
Right. We're flexing a muscle.
With being episode 5, now that the original roadmap has been laid out, and this format, we're going to change this format because this format is not, it may not be the most engaging, and
it's garbage.
Strictly based on numbers, we're losing more of you every week. So if you made it this far, if you made it week 10, you get a medal.
I think we may have prompted a few suicides after.
Yeah. But if you do like it, give us some suggestions. If you don't like it, fuck off. We're still going to do it. But here's the cool thing. I think we're going to start to twist the format up a little bit. We're going to start to invite some guests on. And we're going to have some people that we're going to throw out. I can't promise when it's going to happen. We're going to do this.
Or if.
We're going to renew our contract for the next five episodes.
Yeah. I spent a lot of uncomfortable time on the casting couch getting this extended.
Is that weird couch outside?
Yeah. The one that says "Do not sit on."
Yeah. Nobody else is here though. So yeah, we're gonna have some people coming on. It should be exciting. We're gonna drop some hints and we're gonna have some fun with it and see if we can spice up this format a little bit. Before we get going, what grinds your gears this week, Omar?
What grinds my gears?
Makes you want to just throw something against the wall.
You know, it doesn't take me to that point, but if I could say that there's something that some people need to improve upon is if there's an issue in a transaction, just be forthcoming with it.
Ooh.
Put it out there. Put it out there. Because both parties, buyer, seller side, we can work together to resolve whatever this hidden issue is that you're sweeping under the rug or hope just goes away on its own.
If I hide it though, I don't have to deal with it till
it's worse.
Till 2 weeks.
Till it's worse. Till it comes to a boiling point.
So what grinds my gears this week and what drives me crazy is the amount of emails that we seem to be getting about artificial intelligence. Everybody has an AI scheme they're trying to pitch you right now. It's insane. Nobody knows how to use AI. They just know that it's cool and that's the trending thing. So
saying it's cool.
Yeah, I want to say AI. We're going to do this podcast with AI next week. We'll use AI to label. I'm going to that's how I'll name this podcast because it's really kind of abbreviated. So we're going to end it up, everybody's favorite thing of the week. Dad jokes of the week. What do you got, Omar?
So this couple got caught lovemaking in the dolphin pen at SeaWorld. And when the cops were interrogating them, asked them, why'd you do it? The husband said, well, we did it on purpose. And then when they got in front of the judge, they were administering their sentence, and the judge said that you're going to have to pay a fine to the tune of $30,000.
To keep going.
That's it.
So, did you hear about the man that invented the throat lozenge?
No.
He died last week. There was no coffin at that wedding. That's it! I'll leave it on a high note.